Has the president been shot?
How could you miss?
Chase him down. He's bleeding. Kill him.
The movie opens with a bird's-eye view of a village, burning next to a beautiful river. An unfinished pipeline runs through the valley. The camera then moves forward and up into the mountains, where two military snipers in full camouflage are positioned on a ridge, watching the scene from above. Sergeants Bob and Donnie are scanning the valley through their scopes. Bob is the sniper, while Donnie is his spotter, handling the distance and calculations. Below them, they only see a few farmers and some camels, nothing that looks dangerous. While they wait, Donnie tells Bob that his fiancée, Sarah, is about to start nursing school.
You sure this is a peacekeeping mission?
Nearby, a full U.S. military base is set up, using a drone to monitor the situation. They radio Bob and Donnie, telling them their convoy is coming through, and they need to deal with any possible hostile forces. Donnie soon spots a truck with a gunner in the back heading straight toward the convoy. He runs the numbers and gives Bob the go-ahead.
Fire when ready.
More hostile fighters suddenly appear, and Bob and Donnie start picking them off one by one. But then, mortar rounds begin raining down, nearly wiping them out. When they inform the base and ask for help, the officer in charge suddenly cuts their communication line.
Highly trained men 8 kilometers inside a country we are not supposed to be in. Shut it down now.
Left stranded, an attack helicopter suddenly moves in and opens fire on their position. Bob and Donnie fight back, taking out more hostiles, but the helicopter gunfire hits Donnie and kills him.
Donnie! Donnie!
Shocked and devastated, Bob still pushes through. He quickly repositions himself and fires multiple accurate shots at the helicopter, eventually bringing it down. 3 years later, Bob is living alone in a remote mountain area. He has a small cabin high up on a snow-covered peak, and the only company he keeps is his well-trained dog, who feels more like a younger brother than a pet. The dog is so smart it can even open the fridge and bring him a beer.
Let's see what lies they're trying to sell us today.
In Langley, Virginia, a man in a wheelchair enters a meeting room and hands over a file on Bob Lee Swagger, saying that Bob is the best there is. Another person explains that the team who abandoned Bob and Donnie all mysteriously died shortly after, and even though there is no proof, they all know Bob was the one who took them out cleanly, without leaving a trace. He also mentions that Bob has since retired from the Army. Colonel Isaac Johnson and his team drive up to Bob's remote mountain home. Bob is immediately suspicious because he has gone to great lengths to make sure no one can find him, and he tells them to leave. To gain Bob's trust, the colonel shows his Congressional Medal of Honor, making it clear he's a good guy and not there to harm him. He asks for a few minutes of Bob's time to discuss something important.
Your dog stays outside.
Colonel Isaac tells Bob that they've broken a code that reveals a plot to assassinate the president. He asks Bob to scout the president's upcoming speech locations in Baltimore, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C., and to think like a sniper to predict where the attack might happen. He explains that internal security has been compromised, which is why he came to Bob seeking his help. The intercepted message claims the shot will be taken from over a mile away, and he wants Bob to plan it exactly as he would if he were the shooter. Bob pushes back, saying too many factors are involved, like wind, humidity, and even the Earth's rotation. He tells the colonel to focus on finding the real shooter instead. As Bob tries to end the meeting, Colonel Isaac leaves him with a final warning. If the president is indeed killed, Bob will have to live with the regret of knowing that he could have stopped it. As the colonel is about to leave, Bob pretends to admire his truck's engine and takes a photo of the license plates. The colonel hands him a phone number to get in touch. As they drive back, the colonel and his team agree that Bob is their guy. Alone with his dog, Bob ponders over the colonel's request and the consequences of his eventual decision. Bob unlocks his shelf and takes out his sniper rifle. He sets up a can of beef stew a mile away in the mountains. He gets into position, runs his calculations, and takes the shot, testing whether a hit like that is even possible. The bullet lands perfectly, answering his own question about whether the president should be worried.
Yeah, I think you better worry.
Bob decides to take the job. He cleans his weapons, locks them away, and asks a friend to take care of his dog while he's gone. Bob travels to all 3 cities, carefully studying each location where the president will speak. He analyzes the surroundings and maps out where a sniper could realistically take the shot. He later meets Colonel Isaac and explains that out of the three, Philadelphia is the most likely target. He narrows it down to one of 6 possible firing positions and says the shot must be taken from beyond 1,800 yards. He even calculates that the bullet would take 5 to 6 seconds to reach the target, using a handmade bronze alloy round. Impressed, Colonel Isaac thanks him for the detailed recon and asks him to stay on the team during the operation, since he knows exactly what to watch for. Marky Mark agrees, and walks out in style. On the day of the president's speech in Philadelphia, security is tight. Snipers are on rooftops and FBI agents line the streets. Colonel Isaac and his team are set up inside an old building with Bob, watching over the event. The president first hands the stage to an Ethiopian archbishop. While the archbishop is speaking, Officer Timmons arrives and joins the team at the lookout point and introduces himself to Bob. As the president takes the stage, a man uses a high-tech sniper system, guided by computers, and lines up a shot. Bob senses that the killer is loaded and urgently tells Colonel Isaac to take the shooter out immediately.
Win matches is set up. Take him now.
But as Bob turns around, Officer Timmons shoots him. At the same moment, the sniper kills the Ethiopian archbishop instead of the president. Panic erupts as the crowd scatters in chaos.
Has the president been shot?
Timmons fires again, and Bob crashes through a window into a dusty old building below. Injured but alive, Bob escapes. Back upstairs, Colonel Isaac and his team are furious with Timmons for failing to kill him. As Bob escapes, FBI helicopters launch to hunt down the shooter. Back at the crime scene, Colonel Isaac's team plants Bob's sniper rifle by the window and clears out the room, framing him for the assassination of the archbishop. Injured, Bob limps towards FBI agent Nick Memphis. He takes Memphis down and escapes with his weapon. Officer Timmons radios in that Bob Lee Swagger is the prime suspect, armed and dangerous, and fleeing in a stolen FBI vehicle. Bob drives into a car wash and slips into the back seat. He rips open the upholstery, finds a first aid kit, and pours quick clot powder onto his wounds and screams in pain. He speeds out of the car wash, and the police cars and helicopters chase him through Philadelphia traffic. With the net closing in, Bob slams the car into reverse and launches it full speed into a river.
I want the banks of this river lined for 30 miles.
The FBI launches a massive manhunt for Bob, but he grabs onto a dredger and escapes from the crash site unseen. As medics treat Nick Memphis, Officer Timmons steps in front of the media and narrates how Bob Lee Swagger escaped. Meanwhile, Bob reaches the shore, jumps into a parked truck, and drives away unseen right in front of the police. At the FBI office, agents watch the news coverage of Bob Lee Swagger's escape. The FBI chief tears into Nick and tells him he'll face a formal review over the incident. Nick says he feels lucky to even be alive after being taken down by a highly trained Marine. He also wonders why Bob told him that he didn't shoot the president and that Timmons set him up. The others dismiss it, saying he's imagining things due to the stress of the assault. Bob stops at a convenience store, but just as he's about to go in, he sees his own face on the TV news. He slips around the back, finds a piece of aluminum foil in the trash, and shorts the store's electrical circuit, cutting the power. In the darkness, he calmly approaches the owner and says that he only needs sugar, salt, marinade needles, and a few bottles of water, and that he'll pay cash. He pulls into a garage and uses the bathroom to mix a homemade IV solution with the sugar and salt. Using the marinade needles, he injects it into his veins to treat his injuries. After some time, he smears black grease on his face for disguise and drives off into the night. Back at the FBI office, Nick gets a call saying a store owner believes she just saw Bob Lee Swagger. She reports that he bought sugar, salt, and marinade needles. Nick immediately flags the odd shopping list and tells his superior that sugar was once used to treat battlefield wounds, realizing Bob is likely still alive and on the move. Bob drives into Keene City, Kentucky, and pulls up outside Donnie's fiancée, Sarah's house. He bangs on the door, and she opens it and recognizes him. He tells her that he didn't kill the president, and Sarah tells him the president is alive and it was the archbishop who was killed.
I didn't do whatever they said I did. I ain't got nowhere else to go.
He pulls the truck into the garage and comes inside. Sarah mentions she received the yearly flower bouquet he sends. She mentions nursing was Donnie's dream and that she actually doesn't like the sight of blood.
So how is it I'm supposed to help you?
He then hands her a long list of medical supplies and asks for her help treating his wounds, since she studied nursing. FBI agent Alourdes walks into the office and finds Nick still there, buried in case files and clearly running on no sleep. Nick starts pointing out what doesn't add up. The ballistic report came back in under 30 minutes, which is unrealistically fast. and that Bob is known for extreme precision and that he once fired 5 shots within an inch in a competition, so missing a target like this makes no sense.
How does a man who can do that miss by 2.5 feet? I don't get it.
He also questions Timmons's claim that he spotted a sniper rifle sticking out of a window, pointing out that no real sniper would ever have their rifle visible like that. Nick says he wants to question Timmons. Alourdes gives him the bad news that Timmons was murdered the night before.
In a conspiracy, all loose ends are trimmed.
Back at Sarah's house, they lay out all the medical supplies. Bob tells her she must clean the wounds properly to prevent infection. He takes a hit from a can of Whippets to knock himself out from the pain. While he's unconscious, Sarah carefully treats his wounds. Bob then lies in bed for a few days, recovering from his injuries. Meanwhile, Nick continues his investigation by visiting the possible sniper locations. Inside a church bell tower, he finds 3 holes in the wooden floor, signs that a tripod may have been set up there. Back in Virginia, Colonel Isaac is furious that Bob still hasn't been found.
I'll get better. I'm gonna burn that playhouse down.
Nick visits an internet cafe and chats online with a gun expert. He asks about the tripod holes, and the expert sends him a link to a computerized system used to aim and fire a sniper rifle remotely. Bob recovers and prepares to leave. Sarah hands him Donnie's old sniper rifle and tells him she'll help him with anything he needs. Bob and Sarah come up with a risky plan. Use Nick as bait to draw out Colonel Isaac. They head into the city, and Sarah meets Nick in disguise. She hands him photos of Colonel Isaac's license plates and VIN number, then quickly walks away, shaking with fear. Moments later, 2 police officers spot Bob and ask for identification. The situation escalates fast. Bob takes both officers down and disappears before backup can arrive. Nick enters a secure FBI room and tries to pull up details using the VIN number. The system blocks him and asks for a special clearance password. He turns to Alourdes, who reveals something disturbing. CNN was given already edited footage of the assassination to frame Bob, and all of it was authorized under Delta clearance. Back in Virginia, Louis informs Colonel Isaac that a Delta-level request was intercepted from the Philadelphia FBI office, and they believe it is Nick Memphis. While Nick is on the phone with Alourdes, masked men suddenly grab him and force him into a van. He's taken to a dock, where they brutally beat him. They strap a strange device to his hand and attach his gun, staging it to look like a suicide. Just as they're about to finish the job, gunshots ring out and the attackers are taken down one by one. It's Swagger. He frees Nick and tells him he's going after the people behind all of this.
I don't think you understand. These boys killed my dog.
In Virginia, Colonel Isaac and his team discuss the killings of their men and confirm that Bob is responsible. Louis then enters with new intel. They've identified Sarah as Bob's only possible ally. He reports that she lives in Keene City, Kentucky. Colonel Isaac orders Jack to head out and take care of her. At home, Sarah hears a noise in the kitchen. A man appears with a gun and she reacts instantly, shooting him dead with a shotgun. Shaken and terrified, she turns, and Jack suddenly appears from behind, disarms her, and begins to hurt her, enjoying her fear. Bob and Nick travel to Tennessee to meet an old firearms expert, Mr. Rate, who lives on a ranch. Mr. Rate explains an 1870s technique called paper patching, which can make a bullet fired from one rifle look like it came from another. That's how Bob was framed for the assassination, using his own gun. Bob then asks if there is any other shooter alive who could have made a shot like the one that took out the Ethiopian archbishop. Mr. Rate reveals that the only man currently alive who could have done it is a crippled Soviet sniper named Mikhailo. Bob realizes that it is the same man now working on Colonel Isaac's team that he has already met.
The moment you think you got it figured, you're wrong.
Nick calls Alourdes and asks her to track down Mikhailo. After some digging, she confirms that he is currently in Virginia. Bob and Nick head to Virginia and stock up on ammunition and supplies. Bob builds pipe bombs and napalm and trains Nick to stay calm and use a sniper rifle so he can act as his spotter. They arrive at a ranch where Colonel Isaac has placed Mikhailo as bait. Bob moves through the property with precision, silently taking out the armed guards one by one while Nick provides cover. He plants pipe bombs and napalm at key locations, then makes his way into the house. Inside the house, Bob confronts Mikhailo and asks about Colonel Isaac Johnson. Mikhailo warns him that Johnson is ex-army and extremely dangerous. He says Johnson recruited him the same way Bob was. He also reveals the real reason behind the assassination plot. The Ethiopian archbishop was killed because he was about to expose how entire villages were wiped out to build oil pipelines in Africa. and that Bob had unknowingly been part of one of the operations. Mikhailo mentions that a powerful senator from Montana is Johnson's true boss and the one pulling the strings. Suddenly, armed men start surrounding the house. Mikhailo turns a gun on himself and shoots, leaving Bob with one final message that Colonel Isaac has Sarah. As armed men swarm the house, Bob fights back with expert precision. Nick acts as his spotter, calling out enemy positions and keeping him covered. Working together, they take down wave after wave of attackers, then trigger the pipe bombs and napalm, turning the ranch into chaos. They even manage to bring down an attack helicopter and escape alive. Back at the FBI office, agents are bewildered to learn about the shootout in Virginia. Fingerprints at the scene link both Bob and Nick to the attack. Meanwhile, at his private ranch, Senator Meachum is furious with Colonel Isaac for failing to eliminate Bob Lee Swagger by now. Nick calls the FBI office and tells them that Bob is with him and that he is not the killer, and hangs up. They trace the call to Bozeman, Montana. Soon after, Bob receives a call from Colonel Isaac, who tells him he has Sarah. Bob plays a recording of Mikhailo describing the mass grave of African villagers killed by the colonel's team.
Over the Eritrean border, there is a mass grave, 400 bodies.
He then demands that the colonel bring Senator Meachum and meet him, and that he'll trade the tape for Sarah. A helicopter lands on a snow-covered mountain. Colonel Johnson and Jack step out, holding Sarah captive. Soon, a second helicopter arrives, and Senator Meachum joins them. As they wait, a man walks toward them. Johnson and Meachum think it's Bob, but the man is suddenly shot by a sniper and collapses. Sarah is horrified. Meachum smiles, until another shot rings out and a hidden sniper is taken down. The man stands back up. It's Nick. Bob then drops two more snipers in quick succession, stunning everyone. Jack panics and Bob shoots his hand off, taking him out of the fight. A truck pulls up to a hangar and a man hands a letter to FBI Chief Howard. It's from Nick. He reads it and they immediately rush to the helicopters and head towards the mountains. Bob walks down and joins Nick and disarms everyone. Sarah grabs Meachum's gun and shoots Jack dead. Meachum then calmly offers Bob a job, just like they once recruited Mikhailo. Bob accuses him of murdering hundreds of people for oil. Meachum coldly defends it as bringing stability, like a typical politician.
They like us down there, boy.
Hearing FBI choppers closing in, Bob shocks everyone by pulling out Mikhailo's recording and burning it, saying the truth would destroy everyone involved. Meachum laughs and walks away. Johnson smugly tells Bob he'll be executed and that he'll return to his work. He then wears his sunglasses weirdly. Maybe he is too old for that shit. The FBI arrive and arrest everyone. Bob is brought before Attorney General Russert and FBI Director Brent at the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. Nick is there too, and secretly slips Bob a bullet. Colonel Johnson arrogantly questions why he's even present in the meeting, but the Attorney General shuts him down and tells him to stay quiet. Bob admits the rifle is his, but asks if the FBI ever test-fired it after recovering it. Director Brent says it wasn't necessary because the bullet was a metallurgical match. He then does the unthinkable. He loads the bullet into the rifle and pulls the trigger at Johnson, but the gun doesn't fire. He explains that he always swaps firing pins between his rifles, meaning the bullet that killed the Archbishop could not have come from this weapon. The bullet they recovered was from when he shot the can of soup in the mountains. Nick then shows photos of African villagers murdered by Johnson's team. The Attorney General admits he doesn't have jurisdiction to punish Johnson. Johnson smugly walks out. The Attorney General turns to Bob and says that sometimes, like in the Wild West, the streets still need to be cleaned up. At a ranch house, Senator Meachum and Colonel Johnson are drinking and laughing about their meeting with the Attorney General.
The truth is what I say it is.
Louis mentions that Johnson needs to be in Ecuador to solve some problems. Suddenly, a body crashes down onto the coffee table. They panic. It's Swagger. Johnson is shot. Outside, Meachum's car explodes. Bob moves underneath the house. He shoots Louis in the leg and takes out another armed man. Bob enters the house, kills Louis, then shoots Meachum in the head and places the gun in Johnson's hand. He breaks a gas pipe and calmly walks away. The house erupts in a massive fireball. Bob gets into a car with Sarah, and they drive off together. If you enjoyed this recap, please like the video, share it with someone, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.